Iowa State and Clemson. Robbie, coming to you first. We're seeing 44.5 or 45 being the total. And pick'em price. Some shops showing -1, others at pick'em. The one showing -1 is the Clemson Tigers as the favorite. 5:45 Eastern kick here. This is the Cheez-It Bowl, Camping World Stadium, Orlando, Florida. What are we like in Big 12 ACC, Robbie?
All right, so I'm going to skip all statistical analysis in this game because, to me, I like the Clemson side, Drew. And I think there's some unique things at work here for Clemson. First of all, let me just start with the key opt-out here, which would be Breece Hall for Iowa State, their top running back, who won't participate in this game. He's been a mainstay, a linchpin of this offense for 3 years now, off to the NFL with Breece Hall. But for Clemson, this is just a different position to be in. And I think Dabo Swinney and his motivating tactics will get this team on the field ready to play. They'll be focused and the effort will be there. It's more of a, these bowl games will often say these 15 extra practices are good for a team. It's a stepping stone to the next season. Coaches like to see what they have going into, in this particular case, 2022. Clemson's in that spot right now. This is kind of a stepping stone into 2022. Let's get the bad taste out of our mouth and let's have a big game here and let's roll right into 2022. I think that kind of accentuates itself because Clemson had a poor, by their standards, a poor recruiting class, ranked 27th right now in high school recruiting. After the signing period just ended. And this has to be a showcase for Clemson. Dabo Swinney almost, it's funny to say this, but he has to put his team back on the map. There's a ton of kids in the transfer portal. They could fill some voids with that transfer portal. You've got to give them a reason to come to Clemson, South Carolina now. And that reason, you could easily go on national TV here, win a game decisively, and get a lot of kids or put a lot of faith back in kids to come to Clemson. So I think all these extenuating reasons kind of lead me to the Clemson side here. That plus the fact that they go 5-0 down the stretch. They go 4-1 against the spread. They score 30 or more in every game after they really couldn't score points all season long. Granted, Tony Elliott's gone. But that offensive coordinator wasn't igniting this offense anyway, and Dabo has a large enough offensive history to where, he could run this offense. He could call these plays. So I think Clemson probably comes with a maximum effort. I don't like, Matt Campbell's team entered this season as a real preseason darling. If I remember right, they entered the year ranked number 10 in the nation. They were top 10. And slowly but surely, this team just eroded. They lost some close games, but they did not exceed expectations. They were way underneath expectations. And I think that, quarterback Brock Purdy here against this defensive front seven is going to be under a ton of pressure. Again, I don't like the fact that Hall has left the team. Not that I don't like it, but I think it hurts them that he's left the team. And I think that the staple of Iowa State during Matt Campbell's tenure, which has been offensive line, could get overwhelmed by the Clemson defensive front seven here. So give me Clemson. I think the price is really cheap. I'm not going to say that it's not fair because power ratings that I keep on a neutral field show Clemson should only be a 0.5 point favorite. It's right where they are. But I think they'll win this game by 10 or more. I like Clemson for a lot of the, like I say, extenuating circumstances more than statistical reasons. I think the on-field play will get there too. But give me Clemson -1.
Ralph, coming to you in conclusion, Robbie brings up some good points. That Clemson offense, losing their offensive coordinator, they weren't exactly lighting the world on fire anyway. They got some talent on the roster. In Iowa State, you'd like to think, like Robbie just finished with, they'd want to be in a better bowl than here. So I'd look towards the Clemson Tigers as well. What are you thinking in a near pick'em price?
Well, it's only fair I return the favor and hop on the bus that Rob's driving and just completely agree with the Clemson side. I want to put a number to what Rob talked about, throwing out the stats. Iowa State played the number 23 schedule. Clemson played a 57 schedule in a weak ACC. Iowa State plus 128 yards per game, Clemson plus 54. So you have a team that's played a schedule 22 spots better, plus 74 yards per game. Why am I throwing it out? Well, because they freaking sucked. They lost as a favorite 4 times, and when you're down, yeah, you'll gain a lot of yards coming from behind. Iowa State lost as a favorite of 4.5, 7.5, 7.5, and 10.5. He mentioned Hall being out. Well, tell you what, let's also mention the defensive freshman of the year, transfer portal, starting cornerback King, transfer portal, linebacker Horn, transfer portal. You're missing 4 starters from a team. Clemson, nobody in the transfer portal. No one has opted out early. That's incredible. Why? Listen, you've played for a national championship head coach. He's in the locker room saying, listen, guys, we've won our last 5 games. This is game number 1 to next year, our national championship season. Let's put it all on the line. Let's make it 5, 6 straight wins going into next week. It's simple for me. And I didn't want to talk about the total because when we talked about the high totals, I want to mention the low totals. There are 4 bowl totals of 44 or less. There's only been 17 in the last 6 years. So there's about 3 a year. When you do have bowl totals of 44 or less, there's been 7 overs and 10 unders. So it has leaned to the under at 58% if you're looking at the low total. One interesting fact, Matt Campbell gets paid $250,000 for every win over 7. They're sitting at 7 wins. Shouldn't he have given Breece Hall like $100,000 and say, hey, listen, why don't you play? Try to get me an 8th win and I'll split the money with you? Joking aside, this is my bowl stat matchup of the year. Rob mentioned it. Iowa State has been sacked more than once in 5 games. So in 7 games, that O-line, because they have to worry about Breece Hall, was sacked 0 or 1 time. In the 5 games, what they were sacked more than once, they lost outright by 10 as a 4.5-point favorite, lost outright as a 7-point favorite, didn't cover against Oklahoma State, lost outright as a 7.5-point favorite, and didn't cover against Oklahoma. 1-4 straight up, 0-5 ATS, and that Clemson defense has 24 sacks in the last 5 games. Clemson will be on my card, part of my bowl package.
I like it. Ralph Michaels bringing the heat, Stat Daddy himself at Cal Sports LV on Twitter. Guys, he's a great follow. He puts out good information, as does Robbie Vino at Rob Vino Sports. Check them both out, wagertalk.com. Listen to you guys talking about it. I had it circled, hadn't bet it yet. Guys, for the show, this is my best bet. Clemson Pick'em. We got Pick'em at Circa and Westgate right now, pretty much -1 at all the offshores. So Clemson Pick'em, if you can find it, -1. If not, that's my best bet for the show. The no opt-outs, no transfers, anything like that you were talking about, Ralph, on the Clemson side. I think there's something to that, setting the stage for next season, bounce back form, and talking about their offense kind of scuffling this season. I think that extra practice time, new coaches in there, at least the offensive coordinator not there anymore, might actually help in some way offensively. I'd look for Clemson to move the football and to win this game. Wouldn't be surprised if it was double digits. Look for an alternative line, maybe lay it there with the Clemson Tigers.